Hi, welcome back to the power of model drawing. Now, today we are going to look at stacking model with multiplication. So in this lesson, we are going to revise the concept of multiplication model, and we are also going to learn how to make units from the stacking model. So let's look at guided example 1, and let's highlight the keywords and numbers. Mr. Tan paid $30 for 2 towels and 5 pairs of socks. Alright, so you have two kinds of things, and we also know how many of each type. There are 2 towels and there are 5 pairs of socks. So I can start to maybe consider stacking model if I want to think about what kind of model to draw. Now keep reading. Each towel costs 5 times as much as a pair of socks. Oh, isn't that your multiplication model, right? You have 5 times, so you're going to draw a multiplication model later. All right, find the total cost of 1 towel and 1 pair of socks. All right, now to do stacking or to draw stacking model, you have to start with multiplication model first, like same as the last lesson. When you draw a comparison model, or when you draw stacking model with comparison, you have to start with comparison first, comparison model, and then from the comparison model you build higher or you build lower. Alright, so same thing for stacking model with multiplication. So you start with the multiplication model first. So each tower costs 5 times. So let's draw tower and leave some space on top because you have to build upwards later on. Alright, so 1 tower and you cut into 5 boxes, which is 5 equal units. And 1 pair of socks will be 1 time. Okay, 1 time, so there will be 1 box. Okay, now don't put any units inside yet until you have finished your drawing. Alright, now you can draw the stacking model. You can stack up. So Mr. Tan paid $30 for 2 towers, so you stack up, you draw 1 more row on top, and you also cut the rectangles to make them look all equal boxes. So basically, what are you doing? You are cutting the model into equal boxes, right? Making units of the model. So now you have 2 towers, and he also bought 5 pairs of socks. So you stack down, and you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you have 5 socks. Alright, now you can be creative in your drawing. So instead of writing one sock, instead of writing 1S, 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 you can actually draw an arrow sign. And how many socks are there altogether? 5 pairs of socks. Okay? Alright, and the money that he paid altogether, which is the sum, the total, you always put the total or the sum at the side. It is a vertical arrow sign. So when you draw a vertical arrow sign, you are finding the total, and that is $30. Alright, so you're drawing out the sentences. Alright, keep reading. Find the total cost of 1 towel and 1 pair of socks. Alright, so how should we put the question mark? Well, you can be actually very creative, right? You can actually do something like this, right? Right, well, it's really up to you. Okay, so you have 1 towel, which is 5 boxes, and then 1 pair of socks, which is only 1 box. Okay, if you don't like that, okay, if you don't like that, if you don't like to draw the arrow sign like that because maybe it confuses you, alright, then there can also be another way to indicate the arrows, the question mark. So how do we indicate the question mark? Like this. You can also do something like this. Alright, so you use arrow to point. Alright, question mark. You can also do something like this. Okay, so it's up to you. Alright, basically it's very, when you draw a model, it's very flexible, very creative. Alright, now finally what do? Alright, you can indicate the units because there's nothing else to draw, so you can put 1 unit into all the boxes. So every box will have 1 unit each. Alright? Okay, now let me just draw the arrows, the question mark a little bit nicer. Alright, okay. Okay, now once the model has been done already, what is a good model drawing? A good model is when you don't need to look at the question again. You can just focus on the model and solve the problem. So you can see the total money is $30. So what is the total number of units that you see in the model? So 2 towels have or cost 10 units, and 5 pairs of socks cost 5 units. So what is the total cost? Which is 15 units. And the total cost, which is 15 units, isn't that the same as the total money, which is $30? So you can find 1 unit, which is $30, and then you divide by 15. Alright, now I will not go into the working on how you divide. Right, the lesson is on model drawing, so you can do the working. Alright, you can do the working on your own. Alright, so $30 divided by 15, so your 1 unit will be $2. And that is the purpose of model drawing, to find how much is 1 unit. So now can you find the question mark, which is to find 1 towel and 1 pair of socks together. So 1 towel costs 5 units, and 1 pair of socks costs 1 unit, and the total will be 6 units. So how much is 6 units? So 6 units will be 6 times $2. So the total cost of 1 towel and 1 pair of socks is $12. And whatever answer you found, add on to your model. Okay? Alright, so you can put the ANS at the bottom right hand corner, and that is how you draw the stacking model with multiplication. So basically, you start with multiplication model first, and then you build upwards or you build downwards. Alright? Okay, now let's go to guided example number 2. Okay, now Karen paid a total of $48 for 5 pens and 4 writing pads. Each pen costs 4 times as much as a writing pad. So when you see 4 times, oh, that is your multiplication concept. Alright, multiplication model. Alright, so find the difference in the cost between a pen and a writing pad. Alright, seems to be quite hard if you try to work out in your mind. So let's draw out the sentence. So Karen paid a total of $48 for 5 pens and 4 writing pads. So there are 2 kinds of things here. We also know how many of each type of things. So I can start to think about, maybe I can draw a stacking model. Alright, but keep reading. Alright, each pen costs 4 times. Alright, so that is when I start to draw. Because to draw a stacking model, you always start with either a comparison model or with a multiplication model. So we are going to draw the second sentence. So 1 pen costs 4 times. So you draw a rectangle and you cut the rectangle into 4 boxes. Alright, so a rectangle and 1, 2, 3, and 4. And a writing pad will have 1 time or cost 1 time, which is 1 box. Alright, so that is your multiplication model. Alright, now you are going to you can see that Karen paid a total of $48 for 5 pens. Now you can see that our space is not too much, right? It's not a lot of space on top. So you're gonna have a problem when you stack up, right? When you stack up, because maybe at the most you can only cut about 3 more rows, but you need 5 pens. So you need to have 5 rows. Alright, not to worry, you can always adjust your model. Alright, that's why it's better to use a pencil to draw. You don't want to use pen, because if you use a pen, then it becomes more troublesome. Alright, it's harder to erase. Okay, so let's adjust a little bit, and you can stack down another row. So now you can see that there are 5 rows. 5 rows means there are 5 pens. Okay, so you have 5 pens. Alright, and of course the writing pad just now is only 1 box, right? Okay, so what do you do? Now, you can make the model for the pens to be all equal. So you cut it into equal boxes. So when you cut into equal boxes, you are making units out of the model. Alright, you are creating units. And you can see that there are many units, right, for the pens. Okay, how about the writing pads? Karen bought 4 writing pads. So you just stack down and you have another 3 more boxes. So now you have 4 writing pads. And what do you call the 4 boxes? You can call them units as well. Alright, so all the boxes are equal. So what happened? They are all called units. Okay? Alright. So you can indicate the 1 unit inside all the boxes. So now you can see the model gets a little much clearer. Alright, and then find the difference in cost between a pen and the writing pad. So where do you put the question mark for the difference? Now, remember, to find a pen, how much is a pen? You look horizontally, alright, horizontally, like this is the cost of a pen, right? And if you are drawing an arrow sign that is vertical, that is the sum, alright? So how do we find the difference between the cost of a pen and a writing pad? So you just look at the pen, which is the horizontal row, alright, and then you look at the writing pad, which is so much. And what is the difference? Difference means how much more. So your difference is actually here, which is to find how much more. Okay? Alright, how much more is a pen than the writing pad? Okay, now, if your model is fantastic, you should be able to use the model to solve the problem. But something is missing. Right? Have you put all the numbers into the model? No, you haven't, because there is something very important that you have left out. So where do you put the total money that she paid, which is the vertical arrow? That is the total money that Karen paid. And once you have put or you have transferred all the information into the model, everything will become very clear. Alright, so we can now look at the model and use the model to solve the problem. Alright, so let's look at the model and how do we find the question mark. Alright, can you count all the units together? Because the total cost is $48, then how many units are there altogether? So there are 5 pens, so you will have 20 units, right? All the pens cost 20 units. And all the writing pads cost 4 units. And the total cost is 24 units. Which means that your 24 units is equal to $48. So you can find 1 unit, which is 48 divided by 24. So your 1 unit is $2. See? Just by looking at the model, you can solve the problem already, right? Almost. Because you have found 1 unit, and now you can find the difference. So how much more is 1 pen than the writing pad? So 1 pen costs 4 units, 1 writing pad costs 1 unit. So how much more? What's the difference? Minus. And the difference is 3 units. And how much is 3 units? 3 units will be 3 times $2. And the difference is $6. And whatever answers you found, you put it beside the question mark. Alright, and indicate your answer at the bottom right hand corner. So $6. So now you can see how a stacking model looks like. Basically, you are just building upwards or you are building downwards. But you always start with multiplication model or comparison model before you start to build up or build down. Alright, now let's look at the practice problem. And I will give you about 5 to 10 minutes to produce the stacking model for this problem. Alright, so you can pause the video now. And once you have gotten the answer, you can play back the video. Alright, so have you solved the problem already? So let's read and highlight. Now, Joseph paid $30 for 4 files and 3 pens. Each pen costs twice as much as, or each file costs twice as much as a pen. Alright, so continue to highlight. Alright, and once you see the word 3 times or thrice, it means that it is multiplication, right? It's something to do with multiplication. So you can draw your multiplication model. Now find the difference between a file and a pen. So what's the difference in cost between a file and a pen? Alright, so how do we draw the model? Okay, let's check whether the answer is correct. So we have to start with the multiplication model first. So 1 file costs 3 times as much as 1 pen. So you draw a rectangle for 1 file and you cut it into 3 boxes. Alright, it's always easier to start with multiplication model, and then from that multiplication model you start to stack up or you stack down. Alright, so and then your 1 pen will cost 1 time. So this is not a stacking model yet. It is still called a multiplication model. So now we are going to stack up. Now Joseph paid $30 for 4 files. So you have to now stack up and cut into 4 rows or 4 rows. And then make the model for the 4 files to have all equal boxes. So how do you make the model to have equal boxes? You just have to cut it equally. Alright, like this. And now you can see that the model has equal boxes already. And how about the pen? Joseph bought 3 pens, so you stack down. And there are 3 boxes as well. So you have 1 pen, 2 pens, 3 pens. Alright, and how much did Joseph pay? Joseph paid $30 for everything. So you draw the vertical arrow sign. So find the difference in cost between a file and a pen. So you look at a file. So how much is a file? If you look at the model, the file costs 3 boxes, which is 3 units. and one pen is only one box. So what's the difference? Difference means how much more, and that is your question mark. Okay, and your model is done. All right. So once you know that there's nothing else to draw, then you can start to indicate one unit into all the boxes. So your one box will have all the units. Okay, and when everything is fully done, then that is a good model drawing because you don't need to read the question anymore. All right. So all models, right? Any problem that you're using model. What is a good model? A good model is when you don't need to look at the question and you just have to look at the model and get the answer. So look at the model and can you find the total cost of the files and the pens? How many units are there altogether? So the files have 12 units, right? 12 units, and the pen has 3 units. So what is the total units? Which is 15 units. And total is 15 units. Isn't that the total cost, which is $30? So now can you find 1 unit? So after you draw the model, you should have unit statements. You need to write your unit statements, and the objective is to get 1 unit. What is your 1 unit? Which is 30, and then you divide by 15. So your 1 unit will be $2. And once you can get 1 unit, you can solve the problem. So how much more is 1 file than 1 pen? Isn't that 1 file costs 3 units, 1 pen costs 1 unit, and the difference is 2 units. So 1 file costs 2 units more, and that is $2 times 2, or 2 times $2. And your answer is $4. So the difference is $4, and you have solved the problem, right? So you can see that it is actually very easy, right? Easy to draw the model once you know the essentials or the elements of model drawing. When you draw a model, what must you have? You must have the labels, the arrow sign, the numbers. You transfer the numbers from the problem into the model. You must have the question mark. And what is the whole idea about model drawing is to draw out the sentence. So you always start from the beginning, all right? But in this problem, it's a little bit special because you are going to draw stacking model. So you start with what? Start with the multiplication model, all right? So and then once you have drawn out the problem, and then the solving will come later on. All right. So that is how you solve this problem. Now in the next lesson, we are going to look at some more types of model drawing, and it's going to be quite interesting. And hopefully by the whole series, right, by the end of this, all the model drawing lessons, you should be able to have more confidence in drawing the problem. Any problem that you see, you should be able to draw out the problem, and then use the model to work out the answer effectively. All right, I'll see you in the next lesson.